Hi guys, welcome back to Heritage High School Automotive Shop, Panther Automotive here. We're going to be working on Lesson 6 in our Goodhart-Willcox hands-on maintenance and light repair. Alright, so what we're going to do today is go through a vehicle inspection. Lessons 6, 7, and 8 all coincide together, and we did Lesson 8 and did an oil change, and we are actually going back to Lesson 6 and trying to tie those all together now. So as a good technician, you want to make sure that you do a full inspection on a vehicle. When you're doing an oil change, there's so many other things you can do other than stand there and watch the oil drain. You can be checking underneath the vehicle when the oil is draining, the things that you want to do on the top side, if you will, when the vehicle's down before it goes up or after it comes back down, are going to be covered here in Lesson 6. And then we'll talk about the underside stuff for Lesson 7 coming up also. So in this video, we'll be going to EduHub and going to Lesson 6. I have put that out there for you guys to check out. Please log into that and watch the video before you go any further. The video that's provided by EduHub is pretty comprehensive, and once you're done with that, you can come back and check out what we're going through here. All right. So, welcome back. If you took the time to watch that video, thank you again. Lesson 6 is going to be our focus today. So, our objectives for Lesson 6 are several objectives. Verify the operation of the instrument panel, engine warning indicators, inspect engine assembly for fuel, oil, coolant, and other leaks, and determine any necessary action. Verify operation of instrument panel gauges, warning indicators, lights, and reset maintenance indicators. Identify traction control and vehicle stability control system components. We're going to check fluid level in an automatic transmission or transaxle if it's equipped with a dipstick. More objectives would be to check an automatic transmission fluid's condition as well as checking it for leaks. And if you have a clutch, then you would check and adjust the master cylinder fluid level, proper fluid type for manufacturer specs. And some few more objectives here. Check the operation of the brake light system and brake stop light system, if you will, and the windshield wipers, washers, and their operation, as well as the windshield itself. Inspect under the hood and the interior vehicle systems. Basically, this is typical of a pre-delivery inspection for routine maintenance. All right, so I'm going to move on to page number 3. And if you guys are following along, I greatly appreciate that. Again, this is Part A. Lesson 6 is Part A, and Lesson 7 is Part B. So this is a static test when we're inside here, a static inspection rather, with the dedication to under the hood parts, systems, and vehicles' interior and exterior components. These are checked off in Lesson 6, Part A. Now the Part B of that is going to be Lesson 7, and that's dedicated to a test drive and the under vehicle part systems, and those will be covered in the next video. All right, so as we go through these inspection points on the vehicle, we want to look at them very closely. Again, we're doing a visual inspection, and if any of these parts fail, that can cause some major problems for our customer, and ideally we don't want them to be stranded. It's our job as technicians to make sure they get in the vehicle, start it, and it starts every time, and everything works properly as designed. And you can save your customers a lot of money and time by doing preemptive inspections like this. So on page number 3 here, it's asking us to put the year, make, and model, and again we're working on this 2007 Saturn Aura. It's got over 230,000 miles on it. A good visual inspection is really important. As the miles get on vehicles, a lot of things are going to wear out. If the vehicle is well maintained by the customer, that vehicle can last potentially 500,000 miles and do great. We're 250,000 miles into this vehicle just about, so we really have enjoyed the use of this vehicle, and keeping up with the maintenance is proof in the pudding that that makes a vehicle last. So moving on, you guys are all familiar with red, green, and yellow at the stoplight. And we have the exact same checkoff system here for any of the systems that we're going to check off today. We're going to have a red, yellow, or green box to check off. In addition, we might have an NA. For example, if we were supposed to check the clutch fluid on this vehicle, it has an automatic transmission, that would be a not applicable. All right. So red means that if we put a check off in the red box, that means that we've checked it and service is required. That is a part or a system that's been inspected and there's some sort of issue with that requiring immediate attention. All right. The problem may involve a missing part, broken part, something that doesn't meet specifications, worn out. Some examples would be like, for example, the seat belt doesn't buckle, the headlights don't turn on, cooling system completely out of coolant, torn brake hose, for example. You've seen something like this on a brake hose. That's going to be a failure, and that needs immediate attention. So now the next box that we would check off if we had a vehicle to do the service suggested indication would be yellow. All right, and that means that a part or a system, it's been inspected and it has an issue, something's been spotted by us, and that issue is a type that doesn't require immediate attention, but the vehicle owner can choose to get that service done now, or we can tell them, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, this is something you need to address, it's not immediate, but you need to address this issue. Some examples of that would be, for example, rubber axle CV boot leaking grease out, an exhaust hanger that's worn but not torn completely apart, engine timing belt is way beyond the OEM recommended specifications for replacement interval. Those would be a yellow. Now last but not least, we've got the green checkoff where we've checked something and it's passed inspection. All right, obviously everything is good to go with it. For example, the turn signals, they flash properly. When you turn the turn signals on, pass. Oil level at the correct level, pass. Transmission that shifts smoothly through forward gears during a test drive on lesson number 7. Those things would meet the criteria of a green checkoff, and we would just go on to the next system. I'm going to move on to the next page here, which is page number 5. And vehicle maintenance items include all the underhood fluids, battery, wiper blades. We're going to verify correct fluid levels using a dipstick and look at the min and max indicators on those dipsticks, visually inspect all the parts that are going to be listed on next page. All right, so a good service tip here is when you're inspecting under the hood, you want to make sure that you have a flashlight, some kind of flashlight. All right, underhood light is wonderful to have. And also want to make sure as a safety precaution, when you bring a vehicle in, it's going to be hot. Look out for hot stuff. Obviously, over here we have the coolant reservoir, and that stuff's under pressure. You never remove the coolant reservoir cap or the radiator cap if it has a radiator cap. If the engine's hot, do not remove it. You will get hurt badly. Moving on to page number 6. All right, and we're going to start with a couple of checkoffs here. So we'll put our safety glasses on, and moving along with number 6 here, we need a rag, and we're going to check the oil level. Obviously, the oil level in this, we want to make sure that we look at the indicator and find out where the min and max are and take that reading. Take the reading, read it, all right, hold it level, all right, and wipe it off. Everything looks good there. Check the fluid quality also. Okay, we want to make sure that the oil, even if it's black, that's okay, but if it's black and thick, that means that we probably need to change it. Next would be the power steering. Power steering may have a reservoir, and it may have a sight glass through the side of it. In this case, we actually have a dipstick on it, all right? And that dipstick does have a min and a max, and there is a warm and a cold level on this one. As you flip it over, there's a cold measurement and a warm measurement. Always measure your fluids. When they're warm, they expand a little bit, and that does give you a more accurate reading. All right, we pull that out, double check it. Things are wonderful. Moving on. All right, the transmission. Transmission dipstick on this vehicle is very difficult to get to. It's right down here. All right, vehicle must be running while doing this, so you got to be careful. You're going to take that out, look at it, again check the fluid quality, put it back in, double check it again, of course wipe off in between with your rag. All right, look at the fluid quality and the quantity. Make sure that you're checking that vehicle properly. Now, if you have a manual transmission, you're probably going to be need to be underneath the vehicle, and you're going to have to remove some sort of fill plug or inspection plug. In this case, we have an automatic, and the vehicle must be running. Always check manufacturer specs to find out how that's done. All right, the washer solvent itself. Washer solvent's right over here. In this case, you cannot see the reservoir. Very, very common these days. The washer solvent itself is not full up to the top, so we would top that off for the customer as a courtesy. Coolant reservoir itself. I'm going to take you guys over here. All right, and the coolant reservoir itself is right down here. All right, and the reservoir level looks to be in good shape right at this line. All right, and we also have the brake fluid right here. These are sight glass types where you can actually see through them. All right, and we have a maximum line here, and the brake fluid is good, and the line is indicated here for the coolant, and that is as well good. All right. Next, we're going to check the air filter itself. The air filter on this vehicle is a reusable air filter. Most of them have got some sort of pop-off clips. This one you take out and investigate it a little bit. This is when your flashlight isn't a good idea. You're going to look through and make sure that you can see through it. And in this case, this is a high-performance reusable air filter. If this was dirty or anything, we would clean that off and then re-oil it. And if it was a paper filter, we would go ahead and replace that if it was hard to see through the light of that. All right. And we're going to go on to the next item right here, which would be the cabin air filter. Now, this vehicle does not have a cabin air filter. Almost all vehicles today do have one. Most of them are behind the glove box. Check your service information. Remember library.alldata.pro for your service information to find out. And be careful with the glove boxes. Customer stuff's in there. Be respectful, please, of those things. All right, next is going to be the hoses themselves, the radiator hoses themselves. We're going to look at those for any kind of damage. We want to give them a squeeze, and if they make any kind of crinkling and cracking noise, that means that they are actually breaking down from the inside, and that's going to lead me to the coolant. Again, I'm going to look at the mileage of the vehicle, and I'm going to look at those clamps on those hoses. When I squeeze those hoses, they should be resilient and rubber feeling. Remember, they're probably hot. Be careful when you grab them. All right, we're going to look for any coolant leaks around the seams where those clamps are. If it has factory clamps, those are the squeezy type, like in the picture on the page that we are. That is going to indicate some problem also. Steaming up a little bit here. All right. Okay. Okay, here we are in the vehicle, and on page number 7, it asks us to do a bulb check. And a bulb check requires on the driver information center that we turn the key on and we check all the bulbs that light up, and everything should go away, including the check engine light, as we start the vehicle. As we start the vehicle and it cycles through a bulb check, we see that we have an airbag problem. In the center of the Driver Information Center, we have a service airbag, and that would indicate a problem that we need to look at. Obviously, I don't have my seatbelt on, but we do have an airbag indicator over here, as well as an airbag indicator service on the Driver Information Center. Also notice that the check engine light went away when we started it up, and that is a question that needs to be answered on page 7.